Welcome to How to Complete Assessment B for Unit 11236, Investigating and Explaining Society. For Assessment B, you're actually starting the research for your essay, which is Assessment C. So it's important to actually understand the essay question so that you can find the sources to address that question to use in your annotated bibliography, which is Assessment B. So the first thing to do for any essay question you ever get is to find the verbs that you have to do. So here we've got you need to discuss something and you need to use something. All right, so they are the two verbs that you have to do. What you have to do is use those verbs within limiters. So what we're asking you to do is discuss truth in social sciences, how it's influenced by the research method selected and the bias of the researcher, using one of these as an example. Now, it's too early for you to know which one of those that you might want to use because you might not even know what they are yet. So for Assessment B, you're going to be looking for sources that explain to you about research and social science generally, how different methods are selected, and what bias is in a researcher. These are elements that you can explore now to support you in your essay later on. So what are you actually asked to do in Assessment B? Well, it's an annotated bibliography, so you have to find relevant journal articles. So these are journal articles that are relevant for the essay question we just looked at. And I'm asking you to look for journal articles, not books and so on, because I need to see that you can do research into journal articles that are peer-reviewed. It's a skill set that you have to have for the whole of your university, so it's an important skill to build and to demonstrate. Please do not use any materials that are in Canvas. It needs to be your original research. So don't use the textbook, for example, and don't use any other sources that have been provided. That includes additional reading materials. Okay, the other thing is what you're being asked to do is actually the same as Assessment A. So it's content analysis. So basically you're doing in written form what you do for Assessment A. So you've got to do summary, evaluation, and usefulness. Now, it's got to be relevant journals to the essay. The Journal of Nursing tends to make a common appearance in subjects. I'm not sure why, but it's not relevant. It's a natural science. It's not a social science. So when you're finding your sources, be careful what journal you're actually using as well as the journal article itself. So you might find something in the Journal of Nursing or the British Medical Journal that's quite interesting. Feel free to throw it in at the essay point. Do not use it for Assessment B. It must be social science based. I also don't mind how you present your material, like you can use a table, which is the example I'm going to show you next, or you can use prose. So long as you cover everything. I find that students who use prose tend to leave out evaluation. So the table format constrains you to make sure you meet all the points. If you do paragraphs, please be conscious of the evaluation. The other thing is it's 80 to 100 words for each of the 5 sources, so be conscious about your word limit on that. This is worth 15% of your overall grade, and if you do Assessment B correctly, you're going to have 5 sources for your essay, and that's 50% of the way through your essay research. So that's not too shabby at all. Here's an example of an annotated bibliography. The word count is these 3 boxes here. In this example I've given you, there's 81 words. All right, this is not fancy, it's not clever, but it is actually a pass, probably even a credit. So it gives you an example of what we're kind of looking for in here. Your reference doesn't get included in your word limit. Please note that it's Harvard style referencing, and so because it's an annotated bibliography, put it in alphabetical order because you're not making a reference list in addition to your annotated bibliography. You just do the annotated bibliography in alphabetical order and then you've complied with Harvard style. If you do a table format, leave this column out. This is me providing guidance to you on what I expect to see there. But obviously I will need this so that you can show me what you're relying to. As I said, evaluation is the one that's often left out when people do prose. Just be careful if you do prose. Usefulness is actually how it's useful to your essay. Please make sure you outline how it's useful for you personally. Don't just say researchers would find this good. Okay, that's great, but what about you? Please do not put in this box, "It's not very useful." Okay, then why did you choose it? It's got to be applicable for your essay. If it's not, dump it, find a different source. You also need to include an essay plan in Assessment B. This should not be a major piece of work. It's just for me to understand that you know how an academic essay works. It gives me an idea of what you're thinking for each paragraph. It shows me how you're going to link it to the annotations that you've found. So basically, paragraph 3 is where I would use reference 3. That sort of stuff. It just shows me that you're thinking about it and how you're coming together for an essay. You don't need to give a full conclusion or anything like that. Just show me the concepts that you think you're going to be looking at and how you think you might go about it. It's an opportunity for me to provide feedback of whether or not you should be seeking additional support. Additionally, please do not submit a full draft. Sometimes students get carried away, particularly later year students, and they do this. They give me a full draft. I'm going to fail you. This is not a draft, it's a plan. Do not exceed 1 page. You should be actually able to do it in half a page, but I give you a page just in case you want to get carried away. This is a rubric I use to mark you. So please be conscious, rubrics are used for all assessment items in this unit. It's important that you're familiar with the rubrics because this actually guides me in my marking. I use rubrics to stay consistent across students and to be clear about what I'm looking for. Each criteria is not weighted. What I do is I draw on them overall to create a grade. For example, somebody might present a clear and well written annotation. It might be beautifully written, but it actually hasn't met any of the requirements. It hasn't given me a summary or usefulness or foreshadowing. So that's kind of, not a great grade because you've kind of missed the whole point of the assessment item. So I use them to form an overall grade, and it's designed to stay consistent across students and also to assist the moderator when they moderate the work. Okay, I hope you found this useful for Assessment B.